Joke of the day. Where did the pirate go to shop for his hooks? The secondhand store. I want you to walk away from this show asking yourself 1 to 2 questions. Hard questions that you might not have thought of to this point. And I want you to take away 2 or 3 tactics, frameworks, thought processes, easy, digestible steps that makes your life better. Welcome to the Mendo Money Mindset Show. I'm your humble host, Raymond Habel, lifetime resident of Mendocino County, full-time realtor for the past 6 years, and a self-improvement enthusiast. If you're listening to my voice, that means you must be listening to KLLG 97.9, Willits Hometown Radio. Hope you're doing well. This is an exciting show I have for you today. Can't believe it, but we are already in November. And boy, the rain's coming, the leaves are on the sidewalk, and my boy is finding every puddle he possibly can to splash into. He told me the other day, he says, "Daddy, I have rain boots." He has these rubber boots we put on. And I said, "You do?" He said, "Let's go to a puddle." Immediately, test the boots out, splashing all the puddles I can. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're as well as a 4-year-old boy with rubber boots and a water puddle. This is going to be an exciting show. If you've never heard the show before, this is 3 segments that we call the Mendo Money Mindset. First, we'll go over the Mendocino County real estate market. I, as a local realtor that have been doing this for the past 6 years, we and our team, and I say we because it is a group effort, have created a once a month Mendocino County market update for everything real estate. The stats, trends, graphs, summaries, the data that we as realtors have access to. And we have been providing that every single month in a 6 to 10 page report to our private clients, which is pretty amazing. We actually started that, little side story. We started this report after COVID happened. I had received multiple messages of people in their homes, not being able to move, scared. And one of the questions was, what is going to happen to the biggest asset of my life? What is going to happen to the real estate market? Is my home's equity okay? And those were frightening questions at the time. You probably remember that as well. That was a scary time. No one knew what the next step would be. And so out of that, one of the beautiful blessings, like many blessings come after tragedies, was this Mendocino County real estate market update. And I've been very proud that we've done this every single month for the past 5 years. Next, after that, we will talk about the finance portion. I love talking about personal finance. I am a self-improvement enthusiast. But more importantly, money doesn't solve all problems, but it does solve a lot. And if I can help articulate and share with you my excitement about learning new things, implementing new models so you can be more prosperous, you can have more money in your bank account, you can have the emergency fund you've always wanted, you can pay off the credit card debt that has been weighing on your shoulders, you can have that extra finances, as we'll talk about in this show, how to earn extra income for the holidays and Christmas so you can give your family the Christmas you want them to, so you can give yourself the gift of having better financial prosperity. We will talk about that section. And finally, we'll wrap it up with the mindset portion. Because as the beautiful movie I just watched recently, V for Vendetta, remember the 5th of November, he talks about and he says, if you think the way I think, and if you feel the way I feel, and I add this in for my part, then you will know that no amount of money on this beautiful blue dot will give you all the happiness. That's an inside job. And that's what I want to share with you. I want you to walk away from this show asking yourself 1 to 2 questions, hard questions that you might not have thought of to this point. And I want you to take away 2 or 3 tactics, frameworks, thought processes, easy, digestible steps that makes your life better. Why do I want that? I have a pillow policy. Do you guys have a pillow policy? My pillow policy says I will hit my head every single night. My head will hit my pillow, and I do not want to live with regret. I believe the ultimate sign of success is helping other people. The only reason I've had any success as a parent, as a friend, as a business owner, is because people have given to me. And I want to share that with you. We will get into the real estate portion of today's show. And before we do, I want to talk to you about a quote I read the other day that I thought was very, it summarized well what I believe in the world. And it says, when you make plans, think big. When you make plans, think big. But when you make progress, think small. When making plans, think big. But when you're making progress, think small. James Clear, the book Atomic Habits. Going right into the market update. This is for all of Mendocino County, all the way up from Laytonville and all the way down to Ukiah. From inland next to Lake County, all the way to the beautiful redwoods on the coast. We look at all of the real estate and we compare apples to apples, which means we will compare this time, October, because that's the data we have, 2025, to October 2024. We also compare to last month's or September's data, so we can see and understand what are the trends. Are we improving? Are we getting worse? And where are we seeing things change? Again, as always, we now have an email, mendomoneymindset@gmail.com. If you'd like to see this full report yourself, it has beautiful graphics, it has pretty pictures. For me, I'm a pictures kind of guy. It's very easy to digest. Go ahead and email mendomoneymindset@gmail.com. Let me know and we'll send this to you absolutely for free. Looking at some of the first stats, we always talk about, if you're familiar with the show, active inventory. How many homes are currently for sale on the market? And as of October's data, we have a total of 391 homes on the market, which is a 16.7% increase of active for sale homes from same time last year. Next, we have sold homes, 52 homes sold last month in the month of October, which was a 10% decrease from October 2024. So we have more increased inventory, less solds, very interesting. However, pending homes, if you're unfamiliar with the term, pending homes means escrows. That is the handshake between buyer and seller that says, I want to buy your home, and we begin the due diligence process to go ahead and slowly hand those keys over. That is pending home. Pending homes, there was currently 65 homes in escrow as the time of that recording, which was a 62% increase same time last year. Very interesting. Now, we're going to look at price per square foot. Price per square foot is an aggregate or an average of how many homes sold, how big were the homes, how much did they sell for, and that equation pops out the average sold price per square foot. This is a great indicator, especially without knowing you, without meeting you yet, without sitting in your kitchen dining table and asking you about the home. This is what I can give you when you ask me the question, Raymond, are prices going up or down? How much is my home worth? This is what I can do without seeing your home. We have had about a 4-month decline, steady as you can see in the trends from a high of June this month in price per square foot, or June. However, we saw a comeback in October where it jumped back after a low in September to $334 price per square foot, which, like I said, 16% increase from the low in September and a 1.2% marginal decrease year over year. Average days on market. Average days on market are how long the home for sale sign is in that front yard. From on the market to close, how long does that usually take? In Mendocino County, we are currently at an average of 111 days on market. This is a 40.5% increase same time last year. However, this is a decrease from 132 days in September. Next, we have average active price versus average sold price. Average active price gone up 3.1% month over month, however, marginally down 4.8% year over year. Average sold price up 13% month over month from September and 0.9% increase year over year. And finally, we have months of inventory. If you've never heard the show before, months of inventory is a fun metric for me because this, the way I like to explain it is months of inventory is this. If we had 100 homes on the market and we put the lid on that bottle and we said no more homes on the market, how many months would it take to sell all 100 homes? That's months of inventory. It takes two indicators at once and gives you a good general health statistic of the market. It gives you A, how many homes are on the market, and then B, how quickly are those homes selling. For Mendocino County last month, it was 7.5% months of inventory, which is a 29% increase same time last year. Now, interest rates, of course, look at the interest rates as soon as you hear this so you get the most up-to-date data. Speak with your lender for actual accurate results. Always get pre-approved. If you're looking to buy a home or if you're in the market, get pre-approved so you can know exactly what those interest rates will be in your personal situation. Right now, we see them hovering between low sixes and high fives, depending on what product you get. Looking ahead, what does this mean? You've heard the numbers, but what does this actually mean? Well, with inventory slowly coming down, however, still higher than last year, with days on market on the rise, and price per square foot regaining footing after a tough couple of months, we can see that the overall market is still shaky. Sellers are still taking longer to sell homes, and there are still more homes on the market, more competition that they have to face. However, what I am seeing, if you're a seller right now in Mendocino County, if you're thinking about selling your home, now is the right time to sit down with a competent realtor and talk about the 3 things that you can do to put your home in the best light possible. Number 1, that is marketing. How well does the realtor you choose market? What do they do? What kind of platforms? How do they work their messaging? How do they assemble the facts to create a buyer avatar so that way you know who you're going after? How big of a platform do they have when they're deciding to work with you? That's the first key thing. The second one is condition. Condition of the home, especially from what I'm seeing in today's market, is becoming more important. People have less funds to recreationally fix homes. Less people are willing to do major remodels. Less people just don't have the know-how. They don't understand. They're not a licensed contractor of the nuance and the tedious activity of getting permits, of going through the process, of getting an engineer to help fix a foundation. All of these are very important. And what we're seeing now in today's market, as buyers are still flying towards affordability, is they will continue to look at these homes that do need work, which is amazing, by the way. That incentivizes us to buy older homes and fix them up so they can be reused for decades. I love that philosophy. But knowing, if you're a seller right now, exactly where you stand with the condition of your home, maybe getting a pest inspection, we can talk about that later, maybe doing a home inspection, maybe just going through and fixing the 5 to 10 things that you know would help present your home in a better light. So how do we market a home effectively? What kind of repairs give us the best ROI on the home? And finally, the price that we come in at. Did you know that there's actually a 3-point pricing strategy? I talk with a lot of sellers that have no idea. They do what I usually call the garage sale theory. You know how in the garage sale you have a lamp for sale and you say, I'll take $10 for it. So you get a little Sharpie out, get the sticker, you put a 10 on there, and then you go ahead and stick the 10. Now, what the buyer doesn't know and what you do is that you'll really take 5, but you are building in a negotiation spread. You assume there will be some amount of negotiation done. And so you price it above. You add margin. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't work necessarily for real estate, because what we're seeing in today's market is those very homes that price themselves above market to build in negotiation are now pricing and doing price reductions more. They're slashing prices. They're going down. They're staying on the market longer and ultimately selling for less, just based on the data I've presented to you. They are selling for less than they would have if they had priced correctly 6 months ago. That's very important. That's one pricing strategy, and we can talk about the others on another time. Now, for buyers, what does this mean for you? For buyers, again, this is a wonderful time. I am a big fan of creative thinking, of creating solutions to complex problems. Real estate is one of those. But now's the right time to sit down with your lender. Talk about your situation. Talk about the do's and don'ts of doing expenses, of buying purchases after you've pre-approved. Should you buy a car on finance after you're pre-approved in escrow buying a home? Probably not. Of course, all of this information, I'm not a financial advisor. I am simply someone that loves real estate. Talk to someone smarter than me. Entertainment purposes only. But with that out of the way, go ahead and sit down with your lender to make sure that you know all of the products. There's multiple loan products. There's multiple companies out there. Just like you would do for any other big purchase, get a couple of bids. Understand the options you have. But more importantly, especially as we head into winter, now is the time that sellers that have been on the market since May, since June, those sellers are looking to close up, turn the key, and move on with their lives before the holiday hits. Work with those sellers. Reach out to them. See if you guys can make a win-win situation where you can get a price that makes sense to you. And they can close up before the major holidays and move on with their life. What was your thoughts? Talked about the data. We talked about price per square foot coming slightly up. We talked about, although pending homes improving, more inventory is still on the market and it's still taking longer to sell. We talked about the advantages in your seller position of talking with a good realtor. And we talked about the buyer's advantages of going to these kind of homes and making compelling offers that fit best in your situation. We also talked about sitting with a lender and understanding all of your options. Moving on, I hope you enjoyed that. I do love real estate, and getting to see these, not only is it fun for me, have you ever found this? competence builds joy, the better I tend to get at something. You know how you first start something and it's super exciting, you know nothing about it. Maybe you're a little naive on the subject. And then you learn about it and then you say, oh, this is actually harder than I thought. Well, that's not really a fun time. But if you get through that, they call it the valley of despair. If you get through that, then you have an informed optimism of, I know how to do this. It's hard work, but now I'm getting good at it. That's where the joy comes in. That's when you can associate joy with a career, a hobby, a job, something that you enjoy doing because you can do it well. That's what I feel like when I talk about real estate. Next, we're going to talk about the finance section. We're going to talk about different ways for earning income before the holidays. I'm going to go over a couple of articles I found. One of them, Printify, which says how to make extra income for the holidays. Then we're also going to look at an article, Care.com, 10 easy ways to earn extra cash during the holidays. Now, why are we bringing this up? Well, if you're hearing this, it is the beginning of November when the recording of this show. And we're going to be talking about different, what is the most useful thing I can give you right now? I thought about that when I was making this show. And I sat down and I went through a number of topics and I said, what is going to help you right now, this year? Theories are great. Frameworks are useful. Psychology tips, which we'll talk about, they're wonderful. Knowing how to budget, earning more income, keeping your expenses low. All of that fundamentals is wonderful. How can I help you today? How can I help change your life in the next 2 months? What tactics can we implement to get you in a better position? What things can I make you think about where you can say, you know what, Raymond, I've thought about this for a while. This is finally the excuse I needed to make the first step to improving my life. Now, as I said, just a quick heads up, I'm not a financial advisor. I love doing this as a hobby. It's entertainment for me, and it should be for you. Talk to someone a lot smarter than me about all of these things. But I want to talk to you about a common money myth at this time of year, which says, Raymond, there's no time left to earn income this year, to earn extra money. I'm just going to put it on the credit card, and I will worry about it after the new year. A lot of people are implementing the head in the sand strategy. They're putting their head in the sand. They're swiping their credit card. They're getting ready for the gifts of the holiday season. What if you got yourself out of that rhythm? What if you understood the goal you want this year for extra income for the holidays? To provide for your family, to help tithe and give to people that need it, to help buy the presents, to help get the food for the holidays, to help orchestrate family events, to help people fly in so you can see family members and loved ones. What if we were proactive? And what if we had a framework in place where we said, this is how much I need, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to get in extra debt. I'm not going to put my head in the sand. I'm going to worry about this now. I'm going to ask myself the hard questions now. I'm going to roll up my sleeves. I'm going to wipe the sweat off my brow. I'm going to work hard now. So that way I can breathe a sigh of relief in January. Most people assume that November, their financial picture is already painted. There's nothing they can do. The ship has already, would you say swam? The ship has swam? Because you say a plane flies. I don't know. That's a good question. The ship has already sailed. There we go. In a certain direction for 10 months. It's very hard to buck that trend. But I argue, again, like we talked about James Clear, when you're making plans, think big. But when you're making progress, think small. And just a couple of things, just a couple hours every week can make the difference between stressed, behind on payments, how am I going to get out of this thinking, into accomplished, fulfilled. maybe exhausted, because it does involve work. Any solution I've ever found in my life involves some level of work. Think about this. Let's say, for an example, you're a single mom, 2 beautiful kids, you're trying to do the best you can. You have 1 full-time job that, knock on wood, gives you enough income to pay the bills, but it doesn't give you much more. The framework I want to give you today is for that single mom to sit down and ask yourself, how can I make an extra $500 this holiday season? Can I spend $200 on groceries and have a Thanksgiving feast for my family? Can I spend $300 on true, useful items that my kids will enjoy that are of high quality, won't break the next day? How can I turn this possible debt crisis into an opportunity? Going to care.com, 10 ways to make extra money during the holidays. The author here, Alessandra, it's a beautiful name, talks about, and she just published this last year, literally the same day, November 7th, as we made this 1 year ago. There's no coincidences in this world. And she talks about, number 1, what about babysitting? I don't know about you, but my beautiful 4-year-old boy, he needs to be supervised at all times. That's just a fact. Everyone understands that. However, there are some times that I need to go out and do something. That maybe I want to go on a date with my missus. That there's certain times that I, as a parent, and you might feel the same way if you have kids, I just need a breath of fresh air. There's so much stress, there's so many things, there's the holidays that add an extra level of complexity and tasks to my usual daily routine. What if I just went out? And if that's you, maybe you'd like to hire a babysitter. However, if you already have kids, why not look at the option? I can't remember what they call it. It's not kid sharing, but it's the idea that a group of parents will get together and they will have a system. You know, if there's 3 different parents, if there's 3 different kids, that one parent will have all 3 kids for the entire afternoon. Then another day that week, parent number 2 has all 3 kids. And then parent number 3 on a Friday or Saturday will have those kids for an afternoon. That is a communal way of being able to use your resource, the number 1 resource you have, your time, more efficiently if you need to earn more money. And I'm saying, so we're going to take this in 2 pieces, the parent point of view and also the babysitting point of view. The parent point of view, you can do this at a very low cost, absolutely free, if you have other trusted parents that you trust, that you can create this situation with. Now, as a babysitter, what if you can advertise? Advertise, I see on Facebook Marketplace, is a very common area to start pitching your services. Offer babysitting. Offer that you will go to their home and babysit for them. Offer that you can have them there at your house with your kids and babysit for a fee. If you have kids already, this might be a great way to leverage the time you have with your children in your home, and you can earn some extra cash while babysitting other people's kids before the holiday season. Let's say you don't have kids. A phenomenal time to use your resource, which is your competency as a human being, to make sure you can take care of human beings, as well as your time, so that way the people that leave you in charge with their children trust you and know that their kids will be safe. Make extra cash. Look into that. Number 2, delivery driving. We've heard of the Uber Eats. We've heard of the Amazon, the Walmarts. Look at all of those options. Now, in our rural county, Mendocino County, not too popular. However, I do see it being done. Feel free to download those apps and take a look at them, or simply do as I do. YouTube everything so you can see which app might provide the best perks, the best flexibility for your schedule, the best income for our area, and so on and so forth. Number 4 talks about tutoring. What do you know really well? What do you know so well and it comes so easily to you? We just talked about this earlier. The competence and joy you find in doing things well. Can you get paid for that? The typical tutoring situation I think of is instruments as well as schooling. Maybe you can put something together if you are a school teacher and say, hey, I do some extra teaching on the weekends. Maybe you are a musician. You enjoy a specific instrument. Again, Facebook Marketplace is what I'm seeing to be the new Craigslist, the new place for goods and services. Bulletin boards, this radio show, community events. Advertise yourself. Dog walking. What about dog walking? Dog walking, pet sitting. I know if you're anything like me, your pets are your babies as well. And those parts of the family, those family members, deserve to get taken care of. So pet sitting is a viable option. Especially Mendocino County, rural Mendocino County, we have a lot of pets. Sometimes we even have farm animals. Do you have experience taking care of pets, farm animals? This might be the perfect way for you to go in, offer your services in exchange for extra cash. House cleaning and organizing. I know there's a couple of people I use as a professional realtor that do this full-time, and they make a full-time living out of this. But especially this kind of season, people are swamped. They're too busy working, they're too busy taking care of the things they need to take care of to think about the extra task of making sure the home is cleaned. Now, those jobs, those house cleaning opportunities are going to be in high demand. A lot of people need their house cleaned, especially before the family comes, before Thanksgiving dinner, before the holiday sit-in. People want that once over, deep clean. This might be your opportunity. Number 7 says driving. Uber, Lyft. We've seen the signs. We've seen the stickers. Again, rural Mendocino County, a little less popular, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. Number 8, this one's interesting. It says personal assisting. Now, I looked in this a little bit, and it says, if you're a nanny or a pet sitter, maybe you're a caregiver for a family, you might be able to offer an additional service the same way a person can offer a wedding venue service. I will help orchestrate. I will help you plan. I will help you execute on having a good event, a holiday, a Christmas time of year, getting the presents ready, getting the kids ready for a vacation, whatever it is. If you are already cleaning a house, if you have a good rapport for a family, why not offer the service? Hey, I'll charge $2.99 and I'll take care of all of your planning. I'll make sure that I am the point of contact for all of your family members. That mother-in-law, I'll make sure that she comes in okay. And if she has anyone to call about being late on the plane in Kentucky, she'll call me. Now, that does take a level of competency and trust that you might not have when you first meet someone. But if you already have rapport, if you're already pet sitting, if you're already babysitting for a specific family you know really well, why not offer the help? Number 10 says cook and baking. This one's a great one. Who doesn't love freshly baked goods? Offer that. If you're doing it well, if you're getting in the spirit as it gets colder out and it's more advantageous for us to keep the ovens on and cooking in the kitchen, now might be a great time to think about, hey, I'm really good at cooking. Maybe I can sell some of these and offset some of these costs for the holiday. What did you think about that? The 10 ways to make extra money during the holidays. We talked about babysitting. We talked about pet sitting. We talked about driving to drop off food, to drop off people. We talked about tutoring. We talked about house cleaning and organization and personal assistance, as well as cooking. Next, I want to go over a couple of different ideas. This one's from Printify, and I want to zoom out for a second. I want to talk about quick cash, and I want to talk about building income. Those are two different things, and they deserve two different types of mindsets. Now, we talked about building cash, and over on this Printify, they actually have the article is called "How to Make Extra Money During or for Christmas," and it has two different side-by-side comparisons. It says quick cash and then building income. On the quick cash side, we talked a lot about what we've already discussed. We've talked about food delivery. This one says mystery shopping. I'm not too sure on the viability of that, but if that's something of interest to you, explore that. This one also goes over online surveys. Yes, you can get paid to watch videos, as it says. Take online surveys, mystery shop, food delivery, as well as seasonal retail jobs. All quick cash ideas. The other side is building income. This is where the tutoring comes in. That may be a long-term gig. This talks about the pet sitting, the babysitting. Can you manufacture those in such a way where those are long-term income generation that makes sense for you? Can you build online courses? Are you good with computers? Can you do affiliate marketing? Now, I'm not sure about you. Every time I hear affiliate marketing, a big question mark goes in on my head. All you're doing is basically advertising other people's services and goods on your platform. This is where you see the podcaster. He pulls up the shake and he says, "This is sponsored by blah, 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 blah." Those are ads, but similar to affiliate marketing, you can get a slice of each sale or a portion of that income. Over here, last but not least on this one, it says print on demand. And the example I've actually used, which was somewhat fun, is a t-shirt printing business. Now, this one does take some good know-how as well as relationships and networking to build a on-demand t-shirt, sweatshirt printing business. But that might be a perfect thing. Now might be the perfect time to build the business you've always wanted to build. Now might be the time to take on the extra work before the holidays. Here's the fact. You and I are always going to be busy. No matter what, we are always going to be busy. And so now is going to be the best time to start the new business that you've wanted to do, to get the new job you've always wanted, to ask for the promotion at work, all different great ways to increase your income. Because we're never not going to be busy. So we might as well learn how to do it when it's hard. So inevitably, when it gets a little bit easier, we already have the skills and the discipline built up on those tough times. What did you think about that? What did you take away from this money portion? Did you do what I used to do and have a head in the sand mentality? Did you like some of the ideas I gave you on different side hustle ways to make income? Did you like the difference between quick cash and building income? Send me an email, mendomoneymindset@gmail.com. Let me know some of your stories so you can be put in the next month's show where we talk about a side hustle journey, a tip that you enjoyed, or even a quote you wanted to share. Now, last but not least, I'd like to talk to you about gratitude. Now, gratitude, especially in this time and this place, it might be in short supply. Gratitude, to me, is making sure, it's a reminder to me to focus on the things that really matter. I'm going to get so caught up creating a side hustle for additional income for my family. I'm going to get so caught up on thinking about the real estate market and how to sell my home effectively. It might be easy for me to forget how lucky I am to be here, how lucky I am to have good health so I can worry about all these small issues, and how lucky I am to have healthy family members that I can call on the phone, that I can hug, that are still here with us. I'm very lucky. And I hope you are too. And I want to talk about this tactically to help us kind of take a deep breath. I've given you a lot of heavy things. I've given you a lot of quick tips, a lot of down in the dirt, logical items you can do to get your life better. But I also want to zoom way back out. And I want us to have the reminder that we're not going to be here for too long. These are all trivial matters, and that we actually are pretty darn lucky just to be here. Here's a couple of quotes emphasizing the power of gratitude. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. By Melody Beattie. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough. I need to put that one on my forehead. It turns what we have into enough. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all lovers. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. It's by Cicero. Gratitude is the healthiest of human emotions. The more you express thanks, the more you receive it. Have you ever noticed that? I've noticed in my life, the more thankful I am, the better things tend to happen. Here's a quick side note, a story. Now, this was about abundance, but it easily can be into gratitude as scarcity. It's more of a scarcity mindset, mine, don't touch, this is my corner, versus a, here you go, here's a part of my sandwich. Here you go, I'm so appreciative you're here. If you can visualize what I'm talking about, it's the inflow and outflow of human energy. When you are giving and freely giving, you create a two-way road to say, hey, I'm giving, I really appreciate you, thank you so much. You know, honey, I'm so grateful you're in my life. Or my beautiful kids, thank you so much. You've taught me so many things. Friends, co-workers, I'm so thankful you guys are here to help me when I'm in the trenches. Even the chair you sit on. Chair, I am so grateful that you have held me up and not broken yet. What you do is you create a two-way street to say, thank you, I appreciate you. And the universe, this might be a little woo-woo, but the universe has a way of saying thank you back. It repeats what you say to it. Wayne Dyer had the famous example of saying, when you say, how can I serve? The universe will repeat exactly what you ask. And so then the universe will ask you, how can I serve? Now, that is woo-woo, but I will actually base this off of science. We have a part of the brain called the reticular activating system. I like to explain this as the flashlight in a dark room. This flashlight, our reticular activating system, decides what we focus on. And if we focus on good things, if we remind ourselves, hey, things are pretty good, here are some examples, this is what I'm grateful for, you are adjusting that flashlight. So you're able to pick the things in a given day. We have millions of neurons, sensory data inputs coming into us every single day. Our brain cannot compute all of that stuff consciously. Our brain has to control, alt, delete on a number of these items just so we can operate. Which means the brain also has to determine, to delineate, to focus on what it is going to remember, what it's going to consciously think about. This is where gratitude tactically comes in. If you practice gratitude, you shift that part of the reticular activating system, so you consciously start observing, remembering, and thinking about the things that are going well in life. And this also, as a human psychology, a behavior, starts falling into the law of reciprocity. The law of reciprocity means human beings have a natural tendency to reciprocate goodwill. If you do good by someone, there's a natural law for human beings, an instinct, that they will want to repeat that behavior to you. The person that offers you a cup of coffee when you walk into their home, you feel obligated to give them a piece of information, to give them your time, to give them a shoulder to cry on. It's just human nature. And again, tactically, if I want to help you be more successful in life, if I want you to be more of who you are, to create a bigger impact, to have more fulfillment in the things you do, This might sound and start off as wishy-washy, as fun, energy, and all of these great things vague at first glance. But I want to justify that there's data and science to support this, and there's actual tactics on how you can implement it. If you focus on gratitude, you shift that flashlight. If you follow the law of reciprocity, the goodwill that you express to others through your gratitude will naturally want to be reciprocated back to you. Your life will functionally get better if you can start being grateful for the things you have. Now, that was a big sidestep. And to kind of finish this up, we talked a lot about why it works. I just want to give you a couple of very easy things you can implement today. There's something to be said about writing pen on paper. Your brain has a neuron pathway connection between the hand and the finger and the pen that writes to the thoughts and processes you have in your head. That's why they say if you have a script that you're trying to remember, if you're acting for a play, if you're a salesperson, you write out the script. Remember in school when we used to get in trouble and you have to write, this might be before our time, but you write the chalk on the wall. It says, I will not hit. I will not hit. Now, why did they make you do that? Because they understood the relationship between writing something and reinforcing it. What if you just wrote down one thing today? If you're comfortably driving on the road, wait until you have a good moment, a safe moment. But write something down. Do you have an old receipt in your car with a pen that you never use? Write down something you're thankful for. Will you go home tonight? Pull out a Post-it note. Write down something you're grateful for. Now, here's a couple of things you can be grateful for. You can be grateful for events. I'm so grateful that this coming Friday, as a recording, I get to sit down in a well-lit radio station that has utilities and powers going to it. That's an event. You can be grateful for people. You can be grateful for objects. I'm so grateful for this microphone. It's amazing that this microphone is able to project my voice and help relay the quality and the beliefs that I have through words to you. That's pretty snazzy. And finally, and this is something I've been implementing more. I'm getting better at it, not that good at it yet, but sensory feelings. How I'm so grateful for this warm cup of coffee in my hands. I'm so grateful for the beautiful wood desk that I can reliably put my stuff on, that I can feel. I'm so grateful for being warm in a warm, well-heated home. I'm so grateful for these pants. Oh my goodness. I have a pair of sweatpants. Wonderful. So write down one thing today. If you want to put this exercise on steroids, if we want to follow the law of reciprocity like I've mentioned, what is something that you can say to somebody else? I am so grateful for you because A, B, C. I had a good mentor of mine, Ray, funny enough as well. He talked about writing 3 text messages every morning to different people, just people he thought of. And he said, hey, I'm just thinking of you. I'm really glad that we're friends. Just wanted you to know. Have a great day. Tactically, if you started going through your phone and sending 3 text messages a day to different friends, and you only gave compliment, sincere, authentic thank yous, and you asked for nothing in return, do you know what would happen to your relationships? How much better would those relationships be? Could you rekindle something and says, hey, I've just been thinking about you. I know where we left things off was a little bit weird. To be honest, I don't really remember who was wrong anymore about this thing. I just wanted to tell you that I'm over this and I would love to have a relationship with you. That's one text message that could change your life. Another one that says, hey, I just thought of you the other day and I'm just really grateful we're friends. Or, hey, my beautiful boy. I know you're 16 now and you're driving. I just want to let you know I'm so proud of you. If you started doing that and selfishly, the returns you would get is people that are in your corner, relationships that you would strengthen, and people that would be more willing to follow the law of reciprocity and say, hey, what do you need from me right now? Have you ever had that person that says, hey, I hope you're really doing well. I hope your family's doing well. Oh, by the way, I need this thing. And let's say every time they reach out, they have the tendency to ask for something. I don't know about you, but I feel pretty smug when I interact with that friend because I know they're usually going to just ask me for something. It's a very take relationship. But if I just started reaching out to my friends, my coworkers, my colleagues, my family, if I wrote a Post-it note to my wife, says, I'm just so proud of you and the recent things you've been going through, and I'm just so glad that you and I are doing this together. That's a give portion of your relationship. You're investing, you're putting in, you're depositing into the bank account that is your friendship, which tactically and selfishly you can then pull from at a future date. What do you think about that? We talked about gratitude. We talked about why it works. We talked about, especially during this time of the year, why it might be difficult and somewhat unnatural for us to have this as a daily practice. I hopefully was able to articulate ways that you can implement this and things you can do to start depositing into the bank accounts of your relationships. This is the Mendo Money Mindset Show. My name is Raymond Habel, your humble host. This is Willits Hometown Radio 97.9. I hope you have an amazing day. And until next time.